Alright, so it's been stormy all week. Today, finally, a little break in the rain. Honestly though, it's so windy. I've been driving around for almost 2 hours trying to find a protected spot. Finally found one. I've never actually been to this beach before. Alright, so here's the scene I'm working with, and I'm mostly going to be focusing on clouds. I'm thinking of having a portion of the water in shadow and then just like a bright line of white water somewhere in the distance, and maybe a dark wave also out in the distance. Alright, so here's the compositional idea. There are some clouds right on the horizon. I want to make sure that these are pushed back or that they recede, so I'm going to use higher values for these clouds. And then I want some clouds to be running off the top. Some of these higher ups that are closer to this darker blue. Alright, so I'm mixing up a color for the dark portion of the waves, and I am using ultramarine, phthalo blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, and actually I'm not going to put any white into this mix. I want to keep it kind of transparent. As usual, I'm going to keep the wave pattern very random. And if I don't like, the pattern, I can always change it. I want these waves to go in a, to be horizontal close to the horizon, but then start angling downward, and maybe even increase in size a little bit. Again, I'm going to try to have light hitting maybe this portion, and then the foreground be in shadow. Alright, so next color I'm going for is right above the horizon line there, and I'm using the white water as a gauge, so I'm going to key the value to the white water. The white water is more or less going to be titanium white, so I'm just going a little bit darker, but still, keeping it pretty light in value. And obviously liquid. And this color is ultramarine and white. That's it. Again, going for sort of random shapes here. What I wanted to focus on in this painting is having larger dark shapes that are sort of unified, so there's more of a, more structure, and yet still feeling spontaneous. Alright, so I'm mixing up two different sky colors. Closer to the horizon, we've got more of a cerulean, so I'm using phthalo blue green shade with titanium white, and I'm adding just a touch of cadmium yellow lemon. So it's definitely pushing it towards aqua. And then this mixture here is just titanium white and ultramarine, a little bit darker than I use for the horizon. Alright, so I've used the blue of the sky to sort of define the clouds, and I'm just sort of playing around in this area here. This cloud is just too circular So I'm gonna mess that up a little bit. And then these clouds here, there's like some shapes forming that are these sort of wispy kind of clouds, and I thought, all right, I'll incorporate those in there. So, and have another little bit of higher cloud popping in there. Maybe a little, I don't know, just a little straggler there as well. But that's the basic design. So now I'm gonna start working on the water. The light on the water is constantly changing, but again, I want to have some bright light along, you know, a breaking wave out close to the horizon. And then I want to put the foreground in shadow, or the forewater in shadow. All right, so the dark portion of the waves were made from this mixture right here. And now I want a greener mixture for the horizon. And so I've just added some cadmium yellow medium and a little bit more phthalo blue. All right, and I'm going to keep this transparent. And I want it to be lighter than the dark wave, but a lot darker than the sky. And it'd be really helpful to have a straight edge here for this horizon. Sometimes I'll look around and find a piece of driftwood or something like that. Or I'll use my wet panel carrier. Okay, next I'm mixing up a portion for the white water that's in the shadow, and I'm just using ultramarine and titanium white. The application is going to be somewhat random as usual. Trying not to be too careful. I want there to be a really strong pop of light on the top of this wave. I'm going to lighten this mix up a little bit here. And mostly what I do is apply the paint really spontaneously and then look for interesting patterns. I find that just by being spontaneous and you know, painting quickly, you'll sort of come up with random patterns that you would never, you know, you would never paint if you were being too careful. Alright, so next I'm using a random dark here on the palette to sort of define the waves a little bit, just by adding some, you know, just little dark accents at the base of the waves, just to give them a little bit more definition. I might want to leave these in the foreground so they don't draw as much attention. Maybe just put maybe a little bit. I mean, this whole thing is just an exercise in design, because you're just, you know, you're sort of creating an abstract painting. So it's all about just moving shapes around until they appeal to you. All right, so I'm gonna start reinforcing the aqua portion of the sky. And I'm gonna try to use quite a bit of paint here. More paint often means more color. So, and I want that to be a little bit greener, actually. So I'm gonna add a touch of this cadmium yellow lemon. All right, I think that's better. right, so here's what I finished up with. And as I mentioned, my goal was to have a nice arrangement of clouds and then also a bit of light on some of the white water here. I did try to keep the values in these distant clouds pretty light. You know, a lot of times, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I will make the dark portion of the clouds too dark. Strong contrast brings the clouds forward. I wanted to make sure that these clouds were in the distance on the horizon. Also experimented with having some odd fluffy clouds at the top, very light in value, but I do like that as well. And then of course, you know, focusing on making sure that I had a nice shift in the blue of the sky, you know, so it's lighter, more cerulean down at the bottom, more up towards an ultramarine at the top. All right, and we'll take a close-up here. So you can see there's still some fairly active brushwork in the clouds, bits of orange from the burnt sienna toning of the panel coming through as well. Those are not very visible from a distance, but I do think they add a necessary warmth to the clouds and to the picture overall. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below. Other than that, stay creative, and I'll see you guys in the next video.